always watching out for you. This is KOAA News 5 Special Edition.
Shot fired at 255. Any other units looking clear?
When things go wrong, first responders answer the call.
The Bell was firing random shots in the area. Hit a gun in his waistband.
To protect and serve.
Give me medical here now. I got officer down.
Going home at the end of the day is always the goal.
Hurry up, get up here. Medical here, code 3 now.
But that doesn't always happen.
Officer down. Galleon Murray.
And there are times the ultimate sacrifice is made.
Thank you for your bravery and years of service. You will not be forgotten. End of watch.
Shield 616 was founded to better protect our protectors. And once a year, a team of cyclists come together.
It's great to be out here.
To sweat, grind, suffer, and pull together to provide protective gear for more first responders by riding Colorado border to border.
Talk to any first responder, a patrol officer, a deputy, firefighter, paramedic. You will likely hear a common theme. The job's extremely rewarding, in part because they rush to confront situations most of us would rather avoid.
I have an active gunman. Copy, active shooter. Where? 3. Gunfire is coming from 3835.
I think it takes a special kind of person to want to do what we do.
Oh. Get down, 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 down!
This job isn't for everyone.
Get down, get down.
Down!
Get all the way down.
I think people in the first responder community, it's definitely a calling, it's a passion.
The most fulfillment of anything I've ever done. And I think the ability to literally be there for someone when they need you the most is awesome.
5-5. Command, we're taking fire, we're taking fire.
When you're dealing with situations like domestic violence or things like that or assault.
Sounds like 223.
We see people on their worst days. You know, nobody calls 911 because they're having a good day.
Anybody else here?
Switch, take a breather.
You see terrible things, you do things and see things that like normal people should never have to encounter.
More and more in dispatch centers just like this, law enforcement and medical first responders are sent to confront the reality of an active shooter.
I just want to serve and I want to do it well and I want to go home at the end of the day, so.
I just got shot at. He's behind Planned Parenthood. Quit shooting, stop here. He's shooting at you as you're coming in.
Our sources tell us that the security officer was shot and killed along with one civilian.
If you don't know yet what the border-to-border bike ride is, this is part of it.
Jake Skifstad is the founder of Shield 616 and a former Colorado Springs police officer and SWAT team member.
It all started from active shooters right here in Colorado Springs.
His first, the New Life Church shooting.
Well, you always think worst case scenario in any of those type of situations. You know, it's hard to go towards danger. And, you know that, lives are being targeted and you've got to get in there and do your job as fast as you can to help prevent any more casualties.
Then the Planned Parenthood shooting.
I just remember reading the page and thinking, you've got to be kidding me, not again. And you're right, it was one of the worst days of my career and by far the most terrifying. You know, when you strip away that uniform, the person behind that badge, we're a human being just like you and everybody else. And so we have those emotions, we have those same concerns. We just train ourselves to have to fight through them.
For Shield 616 to provide rifle-rated protection, it costs money.
When we started Shield 616, we were focusing right here in Colorado Springs, my brothers and sisters in blue, and I wanted to make sure that they had the best gear available to them. And so
funds have to be continually raised, and Shield 616's most unique fundraiser is the border-to-border ride. Sure, there are plenty of fundraising bicycle rides out there for many good causes, and Shield 616 does many fundraisers, but the impact of this ride goes far beyond the dollars it generates.
Feel good.
To have a ride where you are being proactive to prevent a memorial ride.
Everything we do Typically for police and fire and police is reactive. Somebody has a bad day, they call 911, we respond, we show up, and we mitigate that problem. We bring calm to their storm or to their chaos. But everything we do, for the most part, is reactionary. Doing this ride, you know, fundraising, getting the message out, it's proactive. Now we're taking a proactive step to give firefighters, give cops the ballistic protection. If that day ever arises, they'll be better prepared than they would have been without it.
There's also a memorial aspect to the ride to first responders injured in the line of duty.
So we have 2 stickers on the back of the helmet. One was for former officer John Adset, and he was run over during a Black Lives Matter protest and was critically wounded, and he's still recovering. Part of him was ripped away when he can no longer do a profession that he was so passionate about doing. Then the other sticker is for CSPD officer Jem Duzel, who was also critically wounded, and he's still continuing in his effort to recover.
So ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Warrior on!
And we just wanted it to be a motivation to him to know that, hey, we're thinking about you, we're with you, you continue to fight.
And to those killed in the line of duty.
Thank you for your bravery and years of service. You will not be forgotten. End of watch.
So all the officers, the deputies, the troopers that have been killed in the line of duty, they're all on our back. And like we say, one name is too many. And so if we can help try and prevent that, you know, that's our goal. Never forget those officers that have given the ultimate sacrifices.
Officer Pat McElderry from Colorado Springs PD.
New to the jerseys this year, a symbol to remember that far too often, first responders are the last to ask for help and are lost to suicide.
We have to look out for them. So
the ride also provides emotional healing and mental health first aid to the first responders involved.
I love you guys. I don't know you, but I love you.
Gary Catalan came up with the idea of the Shield 616 border-to-border ride back in 2016.
So I was a chaplain with the Colorado Springs Police Department for 10 years, and you know, I know that the effect that some of the calls had on me, and I could only imagine, you know, the officers and what they deal with every day. And the one thing that would clear my mind was to be able to get out on my bike and ride. And you know, and I thought if we could get other officers out there doing that, how awesome would that be? And then also have the purpose of the Shield 616 would be great.
Something I noticed with Kerry as a chaplain with the police department and the sheriff's office was that he started to suffer a little bit of PTSD. He was not willing to go talk to anybody about it, but he liked to ride his bike. And he liked to spend time with the officers.
And as a first-year rider this year, Sergeant John Alish with Lakewood PD discovered it's not just first responders on the ride.
I expected to come to this ride and be with a bunch of cops and a bunch of firefighters and that kind of thing. And what was neat about it is I was surprised at how it was almost the opposite. I got a chance to ride alongside software testing engineers, car salesmen, this reporter / anchor from Colorado Springs that ended up pulling me up the hill. And you know, to get that kind of camaraderie and see that there are people in this world who are willing to donate their time, their energy, their bodies to supporting first responders was an amazing experience. I really think it was just so neat to be able to realize that these people were willing to come out for 4 days and just grit and just bear it with us, going up and down those hills. That was a pretty neat experience.
For returning riders, the anticipation builds every year.
Especially from like maybe early spring as we get closer to it, and just everyone's getting ramped up and trying to get fit and trying to, you know, get their latest and greatest bike stuff. And it's just really cool to see how it progresses and how sponsors come along and join in with our efforts. So,
you know, this isn't something that we decided last weekend, hey, we're going to go out and ride, you know, 380 miles next week. Something that we started even a year ago, and you know, getting ourselves in shape, and it's still a push, it's still a struggle, but you know, it's something that we plan for and work for.
When we come back, the Shield 616 ride begins on the Wyoming border in less than ideal conditions, and how the gear that Shield 616 provides helps first responders when lives are on the line, including their own.
You think through the next few minutes. And as you think through those and you think about your family and your friends and wondering, okay, is today the day?
All right, let's get this done. On September 12th, the ride begins on Colorado 127 at the Wyoming border, north of the town of Walden. Day one, the longest of the 4 days at 101 miles, and climbing over Willow Creek Pass for a total elevation gain of 3,800 feet. Well, good morning, Bree. We are joining you live from the Wyoming-Colorado border. The start of the ride broadcast live on News5 today in less than ideal riding conditions.
What sticks out?
Wind.
Wyoming friendly.
Wind.
It's really cold, and day one was tough. That was a 100-mile day.
Yeah.
I think it was the hardest out of all of them.
That was my first memory. And then when we're all up there together at 6:30 in the morning on the Wyoming border, and it was, I think we pegged 27 degrees, and we're doing the on-air piece with you. We got on the bike, and then the wind started, and I was like, so this is what we're doing. All right, let's get rolling.
For the first responders on this ride, dealing with tough conditions is just part of the job they train for every day.
It's changing times. It's no longer to where police are the only ones experiencing, work-related violence, to where the cops have a super dangerous job. They've always needed ballistic gear because cops generally get killed in the line of duty due to gunfire. It's not that hasn't been the norm for firefighters, but now we've seen a change across the country where firefighters have been responding to just routine medical calls, and a gun gets pulled and a firefighter paramedic is killed or shot.
Thanks for joining us. A deadly weekend in Lafayette Parish.
2 Detroit police officers have been shot.
A police-involved shooting in North Baltimore has...
I've seen such a sweeping change over the years just of the attitudes towards law enforcement, attitudes. I mean, even firefighters are getting attacked nowadays or being ambushed. Things like that, it's crazy.
Get down.
Bad guys, they don't discriminate on who they want to hurt nowadays. Now they're going to shoot and hurt anybody who's coming, whether it be police or fire. They don't care, they just want to hurt people. So now we're seeing a greater need for this ballistic protection in the fire service, which is a big culture change.
Ran around the side and went all
Shot! What the hell was that?
When you go into a situation where there's a chance you won't go home, you want to know that you have the best chance going in. You want to know that you're prepared, you want to know that you're well trained, that you're well equipped, and that every possible advantage you can have, you do. And Shield 616 gear does that for those officers and for those firefighters who are presented with that responsibility of going into those situations.
I'm hit in the stomach.
Officer down, shots fired, officer down.
It's just something that will stick with you the rest of your life if you have to experience it.
I'm bleeding. Where in the chest? Right here.
We had a guy who was firing off numerous rounds over and over and over. I'd never been on a call like it. I was fortunate to have armor on me like what Shield 616 provides. And I can tell you that when you're laying down on the ground, you think through the next few minutes. And as you think through those and you think about your family and your friends and wondering, okay, is today the day? And that day for me felt more possibly like that day than almost any other. Knowing that, again, you have that advantage, knowing that, hey, there's nothing more that I can bring to this than what I have now. Gives you comfort, it gives you peace, it gives you confidence that you're ready to handle the task at hand.
Okay, and then I'm gonna load your plates in it.
We as law enforcement, we're expected to protect you from whatever threat. And if it involves a rifle, we don't have protection against that. And so that's why we started Shield 616. Our goal with Shield to provide armor that's going to embolden those officers so that they will go in there without hesitation and they will go in there quickly and end that situation as fast as possible.
For Cam Halverson, the only firefighter on the ride so far, protecting first responders is something he identifies very well with as part of the Colorado Springs Fire Department's Tactical EMS team, also known as TEMS.
We provide tactical emergency medical support to city and county law enforcement, the SWAT teams, and also federal agencies when they come to town, like when the president comes. We provide a TEMS detail to be in his motorcade.
Life-saving procedures.
My biggest motivation for getting into the TEMS program and making sure our guys were dialed and our training was good and we had the best medical knowledge and training and equipment was if my buddy ever gets shot, I want the guys, if I'm not going to be the one taking care of him, I want the people that are going to be taking care of him to be the best, tactical providers out there, to have the best skills, to be the cool, calm, collected under that immense pressure.
When we come back, day 2 of the Shield 616 ride brings a tall challenge.
And nothing feels better than just climbing a mountain pass, getting your butt kicked, working super, super hard.
And a new focus for first responders to proactively manage their own mental health.
Cumulative PTSD is a real deal. Just where you're seeing the traumatic things day in and day out and how that impacts life and impacts depression and home life and all those things.
There's no rest for sore legs on day 2 of the Shield 616 ride from Kremling to Leadville. While shorter than day 1 at 75 miles, the route climbs over 5,000 feet up to Leadville, the highest incorporated city in the United States, at 10,152 feet above sea level. 37 miles into the ride on day 2 came a special moment for the team.
Everyone on the ride got to meet my wife and my 2 kids.
We passed a group of people cheering for us with signs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that's one thing we've never had in the previous years.
You guys hold it up together?
It was amazing for me, but I knew it was coming, but it was really cool to see all the other riders be like, wow, there's this little 3-year-old jumping up and down for us right now. This is pretty cool.
We've never had people cheering for us on the side of the road, kind of like having some fans. And
the emotional support of these family members would be needed by every member of the team. Over 1/4 of the day's uphill riding was looming on a steep 10.2-mile stretch.
We're going to end in Leadville.
Yeah.
And of course we have the big climb at Fremont Pass to get there, so you've got a little anxiety about the big climb coming up.
Some of the most breathtaking views of the entire ride are earned one difficult pedal stroke at a time over that hour-long slog to the summit at 11,318 feet.
Leading up to that summit is the slowest part of the bike ride, and a lot of times it's the hardest because you're just going up, up, up for a very long time.
There's a mental toughness required to suffer up these steep roads. It takes a certain kind of rider. Just as being a first responder requires a special kind of person.
I think people in the first responder community, that's definitely a calling. It's a passion.
It takes a certain type of special person to have the mental fortitude to be a police officer, to be a firefighter, to work in emergency medical services, to work in an ER, and see the stuff that we see.
All of us in that kind of role, we join this job because we want to help people, but those that need help are suffering.
And it all takes a toll.
We see, the worst of the worst between fire and police. And it does weigh on you.
Cumulative PTSD is a real deal. Just where you're seeing the traumatic things day in and day out and how that impacts life and impacts depression and home life and all those things.
One of the key things to understand is that as a first responder, your primary job is to go to someone's worst day, or at least not a very good day.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
And so when you recognize that you're seeing people when they're struggling, when they're suffering, when they've been the victim of a crime or maybe they've just suffered a massive car accident. It lets you understand kind of what the day brings for a first responder.
And that's why mental health first aid is so important for first responders.
It comes down to your support group. It comes down to what you do in your off time, who you talk to, who you have, how you work through stress, because it's a super stressful job. First off, it's my crew. It's the men and women on the Springs Fire Department, and more specifically, my crew here at Station 7 on the B shift. We got each other's back. We know that we can talk to each other about anything. We joke about a lot of stuff, and then it comes down to physical fitness. It's just a good stress relief. So whether it be weight training, strength training in a weight room, or doing the incline or cycling, you're just getting out all of that built up stress, all of that built up frustration, whatever it might be. You're literally sweating it out.
There is something that's highly therapeutic about being outside, doing something physical. And I know for me, when I'm out on the bike, those troubles, those things that might be bothering me, kind of just go to the wayside, and I can just focus on breathing and just being present in our beautiful state. Psychologists will tell you it's a real thing. You get outside and you do something physical and something challenging, and it changes how you're thinking and your outlook, even if it's for the day.
When we come back, the highlight of the ride, Team Shield 616 donates protective vests and helmets to the Leadville Police Department.
I feel 100% more prepared than we did in the past.
On any good bike ride, there's always something to look forward to. And after summiting Fremont Pass, there are a few things to look forward to for Team Shield 616.
But to be able to get to that top, you can see a sense of achievement for that day, because they know they just battled uphill however many thousands of feet in elevation gain, but now they know they got a downhill part coming in front of them.
It's followed by what feels like a hero's welcome into Leadville.
Police escort was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. We rode through town, behind the police cars. The people on the side of the road were waving at us.
In a first responders world, driving a car with lights and sirens fast is a kind of sometimes a frequent occurrence. What was neat for me was to see how much you guys loved it. Like, that was cool. I loved it because it was just a great sign of support, but just to see how much you guys were just energized by that, the group would not stop buzzing about it. They were so excited.
And a Shield 616 vest presentation to the entire Leadville Police Department.
In one of the places that we stop, where you actually get to present that gear to local law enforcement.
The presentation was featured live on News 5.
It was a good experience, to have them come through town and show their support for law enforcement, and then provide us with some gear that is essential for high stress situations that we may have to respond to. It's so rewarding to be proactive, to help come alongside that agency and help provide something so critical, potentially life-saving.
In this day and age, even in a small town like Leadville, this kind of protective gear is needed, where there is no SWAT team to call in on dangerous and high-risk calls.
I feel 100% more prepared than we did in the past, because this vest usually will stay in my vehicle, and if I have to respond to something, it's accessible, it's easy to put on, it's easy to clip in, and I'm ready to go. So even though we're a small town, we deal with a lot of the calls that a bigger agency like Denver would have. To have this kind of gear available for us helps us to have more confidence when we're going into, say, something like an active shooter situation. It gives us that extra confidence that we have that protection so that we can better serve our community and help those that are actually in danger or anything like that.
When we come back with sore legs, day 3 of the Shield 616 border-to-border ride continues, and another mountain pass to climb. The team pulls together to get it done.
That's the best feeling, is when you help each other and work together. And then as you get to the top, everyone else we cheer everybody as they get to the top.
It's day 3 of the Shield 616 ride across Colorado border to border. 91 miles lie ahead with 3,300 feet of elevation gain from Leadville to Mineral Hot Springs.
I think you'll be all right. If not, I'll suck it up.
The aches and pains that are growing are forgotten briefly, thanks to a police escort out of town by Leadville officer Eric Thorne.
I admire them for doing what they do. It's good to know that there's people out there that are looking out for us as well, especially communities like ours that are small, where it's not easy for us to get this kind of equipment to effectively do our job.
For the team, it feels a little like leaving new family behind.
To be able to have those moments when the officer in Leadville, after he gave us the little escort out of town,
yeah,
when he pulled over and we stopped, thanked him, and he gave each and every one of us a hug.
Yeah.
To have moments like that where you see someone's life was touched, and to see their appreciation.
The team is working toward the climb of the day, Poncha Pass. Shorter than Fremont Pass at just 7 miles, not 10, but it's steeper, with basically the same amount of uphill riding.
I've done harder passes on my bike, no doubt, but I haven't done a pass like that after around 200 miles in the 2 previous days. You know, and this is the 3rd day, and you're looking at mile 60 or whatever it was, when you suddenly start climbing this thing.
Watch you guys from the back end, and just to see you guys fight, just barely moving up those hills. It's something awesome to see, and to know that you guys are grinding for our cause, it really does mean a lot to me.
In cycling and on Team Shield 616, there is strength in numbers and motivation in helping one another.
That's the best feeling, is when you help each other and work together. And then as you get to the top, we cheer everybody as they get to the top. And it's like everyone's so excited that we all made it up. That's an awesome experience.
I found a climbing partner that day in Sergeant John Alish.
I remember that was the day where you got a little punchy and you decided, here's where I'm going to do some sprints. So when you and I met at the bottom of Poncha Pass, I said, I'm going to save myself, and I'm going to join up with Ira and make him stick with me.
Ira Cronin kicking ass!
Yeah, they're remembering you and I just saying, you know what, no, we're gonna do this, we're gonna finish it. Just having that partnership with you was definitely the highlight of day 3.
That type of unity is common on the ride.
I do something important every day, but this is above and beyond, and it's with a good group of people. And like, I can't even ask for something better than that.
And it doesn't just happen in the saddle.
What I really enjoy is at night when everybody's around and, you know, we're all relaxed, it's just hearing the conversations between each other, you know, things that they talk about and things that they share, and you know, a lot of, when you can relax like that, it brings out a lot of things, and it's good for the guys that way.
It's something special that only happens in those 4 days, and your viewers can't experience it, the corporate sponsors can't experience it. You've got to be in there, be a rider, be a volunteer to experience what happens every day, all day long. And you can't describe it unless you come along for the ride. And it's something special.
Up next, the final push for the New Mexico border.
It was the coolest thing to get to the finish. Kind of like, wow, this is really coming to an end already.
Despite the time soaking in the hot springs, entire bodies, not just legs, ache on the final morning of the Shield 616 ride with the New Mexico border 84 miles away. But there's a new level of unity on Team Shield 616.
Community happens in such a special way, and I think riding together, all of us having pain on the backside and working together towards a goal together, that day really culminates that.
I think you have something that happens on this bike ride that is so powerful, so special, you can't recreate it outside the bike ride, and that's awesome. It's a testament to all of our riders for that camaraderie and that bond that's built.
That was my favorite thing too, was how we rode together that day, and it wasn't about going fast or anything, just enjoying the ride.
We're riding together easily. It's like a trained team that's ridden hundreds of thousands of miles together, are pros, and you know, in and out. It just it's relaxed. It was fun, and really, really exciting times.
Sticking together that last day, just that camaraderie. It amazes me how all this big group of people can come together and many of us we've never even met before till the ride.
Averaging 19 miles an hour on flat roads. Before we know it, we're at the New Mexico border, and the ride is over.
I see a sense of accomplishment. I see a sense of I just did something special. I see I hurt right now, but I'm going to continue this last mile to get to that Welcome to New Mexico sign. And so it really is a celebration.
Just want to be out here supporting my brothers and sisters on the PD and the fire department.
It's a great group of people. It's a lot of fun to be out here. Colorado's beautiful, and what better way to support a good cause than to go cycle across the state. Wednesday night when we were in Leadville and we had a couple of first responders come and talk to us, that was really inspirational, really powerful stuff to hear what they have to go through. So and that's why we're out here, right? So that was great to hear.
I've been doing this for 4 years, and I came first because I like riding bikes. But I've stayed for 4 years because of what this means to the community and the police officers it support.
These guys are my brothers, you know, and it's a great group, great cause, and every year when we ride across here, I cry, and I just love them, and I wouldn't miss it, you know?
You know, this ride has heart. That's what I love about it. And I love it. I love all these guys. You know, again, the heart that they have is just incredible.
I would almost, honestly say bittersweet. You want, it was the coolest thing to get to the finish, but it was also the end of something. I know we were all pretty worn out from sleeping on floors and, various places on small camping pads together and all that. And waking up early and riding all day and windburn and sunburn and being, sore in places you've never been sore before. But at the same time, it was just so cool. It was kind of like, wow, this is really coming to an end already. We've done so much together so far. And I'm not saying we should extend it to 5 or 6 days. That's not what I'm arguing. But I definitely think it just shows just how cool the whole experience was.
To think that I just rode across the whole state of Colorado, however many hundreds of miles that was, and all these different, there's not a whole lot of people out there that can say they rode across the whole state. But there's not a lot of people out there that can say we rode across the whole state for something so important. And it's just such a fun celebration at that border, just to see the relief and the smiles, the hugs, and to know that, hey, over these last 4 days, these bonds have only grown stronger and stronger and stronger. And I know for you, with all those bike riders, that's a bond that's probably never going to be broken.
Jake is always a great support, and he jokes about how his ankle hurts from driving 12 miles an hour across the state. Sarah and Kurt and other guys had jumped in, and they were just such an awesome support this year.
Trying to get the word out to at least other Springs firefighters. So hopefully firefighters from other departments across the state as well. Would be cool.
When the Shield 616 border-to-border special continues, don't want to ride your bike across the state to help protect our first responders? Find out how you can volunteer or donate to the Shield 616 ride. This year's Shield 616 border-to-border ride accomplished much, highlighted by the 10 kits donated to Leadville Police. And there's more work to be done.
We want to obviously raise as much money as we can. We want each rider to have a sense of, hey, I participated in this vest. You got to experience giving those vests away to the Leadville Police Department and how impactful that was. And so, but to have corporate sponsors to come alongside us and help us with, funding for the ride, it's expensive to go across the whole state with this many people. And so we would love to have more corporate sponsors making their impact across the state.
This year's largest corporate sponsor for the ride was Safeway.
We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to step up. This was a way for us to really make the pennies, nickels, dimes all add up. So the money here in Leadville goes back to Leadville PD. It really is grassroots community and all of our customers and employees getting together.
Local corporate sponsors also stepped up.
Phil Longford, Chapel Hills, and Jennifer Brown with RE/MAX.
Clearly it was important to us at Phil Longford to get out and support these guys. It's a great effort. We just hope more of the community next year gets involved.
I have supported Shield 616 since they pretty much got going, and I just really believe in the mission that he has for his organization with trying to make sure that all of our law enforcement families and those officers can be safe when they're at work.
Jake Skistad says the goal for next year's ride is to raise $50,000 and donate at least 20 vests to first responders. It's an ambitious goal, but remember, supporting Shield 616 does much more than provide the protective gear.
There's a lot of times we see, and no offense, but in the media, Facebook, social media, there's just a lot of negativity that spills out, seeps out. And what's easy to forget is that there's a lot of people that care about first responders. When a church or an organization or whoever sponsors an officer or a firefighter, it's really heartwarming just to know that, wow, that's a big deal. That is a lot of money, and they care about us, and they want us to go home at the end of the day.
I will be a Shield 616 rider for life if I can do that. Just this one time makes that happen.
When we come back, some final thoughts from some of my teammates, and I'll share how my perspective on first responders has been forever changed. I hope you've enjoyed this very unique trip across Colorado with the team. For myself and the riders and volunteers, there's a great deal of pride and accomplishment, and a hope that perhaps a future tragedy's been prevented. My perspective on the news stories I share every morning, and the ripple effect in our community when a public servant dies in the line of duty, has forever been changed. This year, every member of the team was presented with an End of Watch coin for El Paso County Sheriff's Deputy Detective Micah Flick. We were to carry these in our jerseys as we rode across the state. Now, it was told to us and explained by the family member that presented these coins that the colors and symbols on the front represent Micah and things that were important to him and who he was in his life. End of Watch coins like this are meant to keep alive the memory of those who make the ultimate sacrifice. I now carry mine in my jersey every time I ride. It helps me remember that first responders, like Micah, are willing to risk everything every minute that they're on the job. It also helps me remember that there's another ride coming for me and my teammates to train and prepare for, to in a small way push forward the important work of Shield 616.
I will be a Shield 616 rider for life if I can do that. Just this one time makes that happen. I would love to see more first responders get involved because my big takeaway, like I said, I think walking away from that first time was camaraderie, community, and support. And I didn't think going in that's what I would get, but that's what I walked out with. And so knowing that, I would love to see other cops, other firefighters say, yeah, it's something I want to do.
When we come back, we close out the ride with an ending you don't want to miss and find out where you can get more information and more content on this year's Border to Border ride. Thank you for spending the hour with us. And if you want to see more from this year's ride, you can find bonus web extra content at koaa.com, including contact information about next year's ride. Thanks for watching the Border to Border with Shield 616 Special. For News 5, I'm Ira Cronin.